again, one and all. So in the last lecture, we have studied the concept and analysis of vibration isolation and force transmissibility. Okay. So in that particular lecture, we have studied that effectiveness of isolation depends on the amount of force or motion transmitted to the machine or the structure, and that is why it is very important to provide the proper isolation between the machine and the structure, or machine and the foundation. Then we have also studied that lesser the force or motion transmitted, greater is the isolation. Okay. Then finally, we have derived the equation for the transmissibility. So what is transmissibility? It is a ratio of force transmitted to the foundation Ft to the impressed force F0. And finally, we got the equation as Tr is equal to square root of 1 plus 2 zeta r bracket square divided by square root of 1 minus r square bracket square plus 2 zeta r bracket square, right? So this is what we have derived for the transmissibility, that is a TR. And then we have also understand the frequency response curve for the different values of frequency ratio. What is the corresponding TR? Okay. So now today we will understand the concept of force vibration due to the excitation of support. Now, guys, try to understand that what do you mean by the excitation to the support or the base? Now, there are many cases, or you can also call it as like there are many practical applications. You can take an example of a vehicle. You can take an example of a vehicle, or also you can take an example of a locomotive, right? So this vehicle or locomotive is running on the road surface, right? It is running on the road surface. Now, when this particular car or a vehicle is running on the road surface, you know that the contact point between the car and the road surface is nothing but this wheel, right? So this wheel is, you can say this is a contact point between the road surface and the wheel, right? Now you know that whenever you are driving a car or a vehicle on the road surface, okay, so there are a lot of irregularities on the road surface. Irregularities on the road surface. Why there are irregularities on the road surface? Because of the, maybe due to the rough road conditions. Okay, maybe due to the rough road conditions. Okay, maybe due to some speed breakers. Right, there are some speed breakers. There are some holes on the road surface. There are some pits on the road surface. Okay, so there are, the condition of the road surface is nothing but a rough condition, and that is why in that particular case, what will happen? We can say that in such cases, the excitation of the system is through the support or the base instead of being applied to the mass, right? So, for example, if you take an example, let us say this is a mass. M is the mass of a car or a vehicle, and let us say this particular is nothing but a road surface. Now, in this case, in earlier study, what we have understand that we are giving the excitation. Let us say f0 sine omega t. What is this f0 sine omega t? This is nothing but the harmonic excitation. So, in earlier cases, we have given a harmonic excitation to this mass m. Let us say mass m of a car, but there are some cases, for example, locomotives or vehicle, where instead of applying the excitation to the mass, the excitation of the system is to the support or the base. Means what? You can see that, let us say that y is equal to y sine omega t is the harmonic excitation, right? So y is equal to y sine omega t is nothing but a harmonic excitation given to the base. Given to the base, or you can also call it as a road surface in case of the example of locomotives, or you can also call it as a support, or you can also call it as a foundation, right? So in this today's particular lecture, we will understand the analysis of a force vibration due to the excitation of support instead of mass. Means what? The first excitation is given to the support. Let us say this is a base or a support, and then the vibrations are generated, and these vibrations are transmitted to this mass m. Okay, so again same in the last case, that is a vibration isolation case, what we have studied, the excitation was given to the mass m, that is f0 sine omega t, and then the vibrations or the force vibrations are transmitted to this base, right? And then we have used the isolation in this case. Okay, so means what? As I earlier said that uh, the vibrations can be transmitted from the mass to the base, or from the mass to the support, right? So in the first case, we have seen that the vibration transmitted from the mass to the base, and then means what? The force is transmitted from the mass to the base, and then we have derived equation for the transmissibility. Okay. Now in this case, we are exactly doing the opposite. We are giving an excitation to the base, that is a support. So in many cases, I am repeating the statement, the excitation of the system is through the support or base instead of being applied to the mass. Okay. So in your particular analysis, in such examples, the support or base is considered to be excited by a sinusoidal motion, that is y is equal to sine omega t. Means what? We are again assuming that the excitation to the base excitation, I'm writing here, the base excitation is harmonic or having a sinusoidal motion, y sine omega t. Okay. Now try to understand that if you want to do the analysis of a force vibration, if you want to do, I will write here analysis. Obviously, we are going to do the analysis, means what? We are going to find out the steady state amplitude and the corresponding phase angle. So if you want to do the analysis of a force vibration due to the excitation of the support, okay, so you have to consider two things. The first is absolute amplitude. What is the first thing? Absolute amplitude, or you can also call it as the absolute motion. And second is relative amplitude. Second is what? Relative amplitude. Okay. So now up till now, guys, you have understood, we have analyzed the concept of amplitude, right? But now we will understand this concept of amplitude into the two ways. The first is absolute amplitude and second one is relative amplitude. Okay. So again, this is a very, very important term. Okay. Now, first of all, let us understand what is this absolute or amplitude. Let us take an example of a locomotive or vehicle. So, how we can say that the motion between the wheels and the road surface. Now, you know that, let us say this is a wheel. Okay. This wheel is moving on the road surface, right? Let us say this is a road surface. Now, this basically, road surface means what? It is nothing but attached to the earth coordinates, right? It is attached to the earth coordinates, right? Means what? It is a fix, you can call. Okay. So normally this road surface we consider it as a earth coordinates. Okay. So absolute motion or absolute amplitude of a mass means its motion with respect to the coordinate systems attached to the earth, right? Means what? A motion of some you can say system with respect to the another fixed system, that is coordinate systems attached to the earth, right? So means what I can say that the motion between the wheels and the road surface, motion between the wheels and the road surface is called the absolute motion or the amplitude. Okay. Now similarly, what is relative motion? Now relative motion is nothing but the motion between the chassis and the wheels. Now guys, try to understand that. Basically, in this example, that is a locomotive or vehicle, or you can basically take a simple example of a car moving on the road surface. Wheels act as a base or support. Let me write here. What is this wheels? Wheels acts as a base or support. Right? Wheels act as a base or support for the system. Now, basically, these wheels move up and down on the road surface during the motion of the vehicle. Now, at the same time means what? When there is a motion of these wheels between the wheels and when there is a motion between the wheels and the road surface, there is a motion between the chassis and the wheels also, right? Because this wheels is attached to the road surface, and then to the wheels, what is attached? We are attaching the chassis, and you know that there is a suspension system between the chassis and the wheels, and the suspension system acts as a vibration isolation. Means what? Whenever the motion or the base excitation, it comes from the road surface to the wheels. From the wheels, it will go to the chassis, and from the chassis, it will go to the automobile body, that is a car, and from the car, it will go to the passengers. Okay. So now, how will you avoid this? By using a suspension system. So the suspension system dams this force vibration from being passed to this automobile body or the car from the wheels and the chassis, right? So I hope you have understand the difference between the amplitude, absolute amplitude and the relative amplitude. Okay, so the motion between the wheels and the road surface is nothing but the absolute amplitude, because this road surface is nothing but a fix with respect to the earth coordinate. Then the motion between the chassis and the wheels is nothing but a relative motion. Okay, so similarly, in this analysis, we have to study the amplitude, absolute amplitude, as well as the relative amplitude of a mass as well as the base. Okay. So now let us start one by one the analysis. Okay, so let's move to the next slide. Now let us understand first of all absolute amplitude. Now let us say that what I have considered a mass m of some machine which is supported on this base, right? And K and C are nothing but the isolators, right? Because we have to obviously put the isolation between the machine and the base. Okay. So now let us assume that Y is the absolute harmonic displacement of the support. What is Y? Y is nothing but the absolute harmonic displacement of the support. Means what? We are you can say the motion of the support, or you can say the our absolute harmonic displacement of the support is with respect to system, or you can say the earth coordinates of the system attached to the earth coordinate. There is some fixed point or fixed you can say the fixed system, right? So that is why I am considering this Y is equal to absolute harmonic displacement. Okay, try to understand that there are two cases. First is the relative amplitude, sorry, absolute amplitude, and second is the relative amplitude. Okay, so first of all, let us consider the absolute amplitude case, and in second case we will understand the relative amplitude case. Okay, so now to understand the absolute amplitude, let us say that Y is equal to absolute harmonic displacement of the support. So let us say harmonic displacement means what? Y is equal to Y sine omega t. Okay. Now you know that X is equal to Y is nothing but the amplitude. Okay. So here, since I have considered it as a small y, I have considered it here as a capital Y as the absolute amplitude. Okay. So let us say that Y is equal to Y sine omega t. So now what will be Y dot? So Y dot will be Y, take derivative of this Y with respect to time t. So Y dot will be Y omega cos omega t, and what will be Y double dot minus Y omega square sin omega t, right? Now second case, let us consider that X is the absolute displacement of the mass m. Let us say that this X is the means what? Let us say X is the, now we know that how the motion is transmitted, how the, we are try to understand that we are understanding about the motion transmissibility. So we will be discussing about the motion, how the motion is transmitted. Okay, the force transmissibility we have already defined, right? So what we have done here, we have given a small displacement y in terms of harmonic displacement to this base. From the base it will go to the mass m. Now I am not considering the relative motion between the mass m and the base. Okay, that I will consider later on. But here I am interested only in the absolute amplitude with respect to some fixed coordinates attached to the earth especially. So let us say that Y is the absolute amplitude, sorry, X is the absolute amplitude of mass m, and Y is the absolute harmonic amplitude of base. Okay, so try to understand that both X and Y are nothing but the absolute amplitude. They are not a relative amplitude with respect to the fixed coordinates, right? So now let us say that this X is nothing but a small linear displacement, or you can say small linear absolute displacement of the mass m. Okay, I hope it is clear to all of you. Now let's move forward. Now let us say what will happen. Now this is currently equilibrium position. This is currently equilibrium position. So what will happen when you will apply the small absolute amplitude, absolute displacement, when you will give a small absolute displacement y, and you will give a small absolute displacement x to the mass m, what will happen? Let me understand. So let us say this is a displaced position. Okay, this is a displaced diagram. Means what? Let us say initially this base was at this point A. Now from point A it went to the, let us say, point B. So the distance between the point A and point B is nothing but this y, because y is nothing but a displacement given to the base, which is equal to y sine omega t. Similarly, your x mass m will move by what displacement or what distance? X. Okay, is it okay? Now try to understand that the spring and the damper, these are nothing but the two elements which are connected between the two things. Now I have already explained in the lecture number 1 of mechanical vibration that if, let us say, the spring is connected to the mass m1 and m2, and let us say the stiffness is k. If x1 is the displacement of spring m1 and x2 is the displacement of this mass m2, then we know that the spring force, or you can say the displacement of the spring, is equal to x1 minus x2, considering x1 is greater than x2. This we have studied. So similarly, that will be the case for the damper. So similarly here, the absolute deflection of the spring will be what? Now spring is connected between the mass m and the base. Displacement of the, if let us say that x is greater than y, assuming, so we know that the deflection of the spring will be x minus y. That is a deflection of mass m minus, you can say, the deflection of this base x minus y. And similarly, we know that for the deflection of the damper will be equal to what? X dot minus y dot, because damper we are considering related to the velocity. So absolute velocity between the two ends of the damper will be x dot minus y dot. I hope it is clear to all of you. So this is what is happening when we are giving a harmonic excitation to the base, and then we will consider the deflection of the spring and you can say the velocity between the two ends of the damper as x minus y and x dot minus y. I hope you have understand this. Now next point. Now what is free body diagram? So free body diagram means what? Now we have to understand the FBD of this mass in this displaced position. So how will you draw the FBD of the mass in this displaced position? So let us say M. So what are the forces acting on the mass M? Now we know that the displacement of the mass M is in the upward direction. So let us say M into x double dot is the inertia force, always acts opposite to the displacement. Okay. And then the displacement of the K and the spring is also upward. So what is spring force? Spring force will be downwards, that is K into x minus y. And what will be the damping force? C into x dot minus y dot. Right? Is it okay? Is it clear? So now let us say this is the free body diagram. So now once you draw the free body diagram, so how will you write a differential equation motion? So let us say applying D'Alembert's principle, summation of inertia force. Okay, so I will now derive the equation, summation of inertia forces plus external forces is equal to 0. This is a statement of D'Alembert's principle, right? So now we know that what are the inertia forces? Mx double dot. External force is nothing but the k into x minus y plus c into x dot minus y dot. Okay. So let us say this is equal to 0. What I get. So let me open up the bracket. So mx double dot plus cx dot minus cy dot plus kx minus ky is equal to 0. Right. So from this I will get. Let me take negative term towards the right hand side. So I am getting mx double dot plus cx dot plus kx is equal to ky plus cy dot. Okay, I've got this equation. Now, what is y? Let me come to the earlier slide. Y is equal to y sin omega t. What is y dot? Y omega cos omega t. And what is y double dot? Minus y, capital Y, omega square sin omega t. Okay, so all this we have to put in this particular equation. I am getting mx double dot plus cx dot plus kx is equal to k into what is this y? This is basically small y. So small y is equal to capital Y sin omega t plus c into what is y dot? Y dot is nothing but the capital Y into omega cos omega t. Okay. So this is what I am getting. Now from this you can remove this y as a constant. So I am getting this equation as nh double dot plus cx dot plus kx is equal to, I am getting the equation capital Y constant. So I am getting k sin omega t plus c into omega cos omega t. Okay. Now we will do a slightly modification. What modification will do? We will multiply some factor to this right hand side equation. Okay. So let me consider that factor. So I can consider this as a mx double dot plus cx dot plus kx is equal to. Now let me use this factor. Now this factor is already, we know that by this factor I have got from the, you can say, the vector diagram. What is that factor? Already we have studied this factor in this in the particular last lecture. So that factor is nothing but a k square plus c square into omega square. Okay. So this factor, if I want to multiply here, obviously I have to divide it into the bracket term. So let us say the bracket term is k divided by, let me divide here. So this will get cancelled, k square plus c square omega square. And what will be the inside? Inside bracket will be sin omega 2. Okay, sin omega t plus again c omega upon same term I have to divide k square plus c omega square into c square omega square, and the remaining term will be cos omega t, bracket complete. Okay, now this I have got. Now this I can write as from here. So this is nothing but a vector diagram which we have already studied. From this vector diagram, you know that this is a displacement vector, this is a force transmitted vector. Now the angle between the displacement vector and this force transmitted vector is nothing but a transmitted force vector, and this is nothing but the inverse force vector. This angle is equal to alpha. So from this what I can get cos alpha is equal to what? Adjacent side upon, what is cos alpha? Adjacent side upon hypotenuse. So what is adjacent side? Let us say kx. And what is hypotenuse? It will be square root of kx, k square x square plus c square omega square x square. Okay, so this x will get cancelled. So I am getting cos alpha is equal to k upon what I am getting cos alpha from this vector diagram we have already studied in the initial lectures, right? So I am getting k square plus c square into omega square. So from this diagram I am getting cos alpha is equal to k upon square root of k square plus c square into omega square. Similarly, what is sin alpha I am getting? Sin alpha is nothing but opposite side is what? C omega. Let's say that this x is cancelled. Okay, so I am getting square root of k square plus c square into omega square. So what is sin alpha? C omega upon k square plus c square omega square. And what is cos alpha? K upon square root of k square plus c square omega square. Okay, so this I will put here in this equation. So k upon k square plus c square omega square is nothing but a cos alpha, and c omega upon k square plus c square omega square is nothing but a sin alpha. So I'm getting this equation as mx double dot plus cx dot plus kx is equal to, I am getting it as a y. This term will remain as it is, square root of k square plus c square into omega square. And inside the bracket I am getting cos alpha into sin omega t. Cos alpha into sin omega t plus I am getting sin alpha into cos omega t. See how the equations are changing as the condition goes on changing. First we have derived for the basic equation, force vibration. Then we went for the rotating unbalance, reciprocating unbalance. Then I have derived for the vibration isolation and the force transmissibility. Now I am deriving for the force vibration due to the excitation of support instead of one. So how does the phase angle and steady state amplitude? See, there are basically two constants only. One is the x and second is the phi. X is nothing but a steady state amplitude and phi is nothing but the phase angle. So each time I am deriving the equation for the x and phi for these different conditions. So that formulas are changing each time, which you have to remember. So let me derive here also. So for this particular condition, I am getting cx dot plus kx is equal to this. I am getting as what I am getting y as it is square root of k square plus c square into omega square. And this I can write cos alpha into sin omega t plus sin alpha into cos omega t. I can write it as sin omega t plus alpha. So this is, let me call this the equation number 1. So basic equation which I have got here. Now this equation number 1 is called as a absolute differential equation of motion. What is this called as a absolute? Because we have considered only the absolute amplitudes, right? So this equation is called as an absolute differential equation of motion. And what is that equation? Mx double dot plus cx dot plus kx is equal to y k square plus c square omega sin omega t plus alpha. Okay, omega t plus alpha. Now, what is our basic equation? What is our basic equation? Our basic equation is, what is our basic equation? Basic equation of force vibration is mx double dot plus cx dot plus kx is equal to 0. Is equal to f0 sin omega t, right? Let me call this as equation number 2. This is the basic equation which we have derived in the first lecture. Okay, now compare this equation. If you compare with this, obviously this will be same left hand side. In right hand side, this is the extra term what you are getting, f y pi y k square plus c square into omega square. Means what? This term is nothing but the f0, and here you are getting sin omega t plus alpha. Okay, so obviously here you are getting an additional term called as a alpha. Okay, right? So for the force vibration you have only omega t, that is equal, that an angle with respect to the reference angle. What is omega t? This is omega t, na? This is omega t. Okay, so this is the omega t what we are getting. Okay, but here I am getting an extra additional term, that is nothing but a alpha also. Okay, remember this, I will explain you further. So if I compare this equation with mx double dot plus cx dot plus kx is equal to f0 sine omega t. Okay, if I compare with this, I am getting, if I comparing equation 1 and 2, I am getting f0 is equal to, try to understand this, f0 is equal to y into square root of k square plus c square into omega square. So what is f0? F0 is nothing but impulse force. So for a force vibration due to the excitation of support instead of mass, I am getting f0 is equal to y. Okay. So now we will write the complete solution. Okay. So this is a regular procedure. What is complete solution? Same, x is equal to xc plus xp. Now guys, you know that what is xp, what is xc? Xc is nothing but a complementary function. Complementary function we are assuming for a free damped case, that is under damped condition. So what is that? X is nothing but x1 into e raised to minus zeta omega n t. Okay, psi omega dt plus phi 1. Okay, right? This is what we are considering. And similarly xp. Now what is xp? Xp is nothing but a particular integral. Now what is the particular integral we have assumed? We have assumed particular integral as x sine omega t, x sine omega t minus phi. This is the particular integral what we have assumed, but in this case, for this case, you know that is not sine omega t, but it is sine omega t plus alpha. Okay, so obviously we have to change this particular integral. So here it will become, erase this. So my particular integral for this particular equation will become xp is equal to, it is very simple, x sine, I have to just take this omega t plus alpha and minus phi as it is. Okay, so this, there is not only omega t, but it is omega t plus alpha. Okay, so I can modify this. So I am getting x sine, I can write this as x sine omega t minus, I can take it as a phi minus alpha. Okay, so why I am writing this phi minus alpha? So from this you know that I am getting this phi minus alpha. So what is this phi minus alpha? Phi minus alpha is nothing but the angle by which this transmitted force lacks this f0, that is the impulse force. Okay, is it clear? So that is why. Now what is a complete solution? Complete solution will be x is equal to xc plus xp. This is xc and this is xp. So now we are trying to understand that what is xc, what is x? X is nothing but a steady state amplitude. So these are, now we have to derive the equations for this steady state amplitude. And what is the phase angle for this? Phase angle for this will be nothing but a phi minus alpha. So phi minus alpha will be the phase angle. Okay, now phi is not the phase angle, but the phase angle is phi minus alpha. Let me call this as equation A. So how this phi minus alpha came? Because omega t plus alpha is the angle in the particular equation. So for particular integral, we assume x sine omega t plus phi minus phi. So it becomes phi minus alpha. So guys, try to understand that for force vibration, x is nothing but a steady state amplitude, which is f0 by k divided by square root of 1 minus r square bracket square plus 2 zeta r square. And what is phase angle phi? Phase angle phi is nothing but a tan inverse of 2 zeta r upon 1 minus r square. But for the force vibration due to the excitation of support, we will derive the x, that is steady state amplitude, and what is phase angle? Phi minus alpha. This is what you have to understand. Okay. So now point number 1. Again, now let us derive the steady state absolute amplitude. Now this is called as steady state. You can also call it as steady state absolute amplitude. What is steady state absolute amplitude? X. Okay. So within a short period of time, I will derive this. So now let us derive. Now basically, you know that x, that is steady state amplitude for the force vibration, is f0 by k. Always remember this basic formula: 1 minus r square bracket square plus 2 zeta r bracket square. Now, what is f0? F0, what we have derived for this particular, f0 is nothing but what? Y into square root of k square plus c square into omega square. Right? This is what we have derived. So you have to just put here. You have to just put here. So x is equal to, what is f0? Y into square root of k square plus c square omega square. Okay, and you can write it divided by k. So it will become again term square root of 1 minus r square bracket square plus 2 zeta r bracket square. Okay, Now guys, what I will take? I will take this y here. I will take a ratio of y. Now everybody know what is x? Everybody know what is x and what is y. Okay, I will write it once again. So x upon y I am getting. Now if you take this k inside the square root, so this k will become k square. So you know that k square upon k square is nothing but a 1. Okay, and again you know that c square omega square upon k square is equal to what? This already we have derived. It is nothing but a 2 zeta r bracket square. Okay, because we have already derived c omega upon k is equal to 2 zeta. Okay, so this I will put here. So and finally I'm getting x upon y is equal to square root of 1 plus 2 zeta r bracket square divided by 1 minus r square bracket square plus 2 zeta r bracket square. Okay. Now guys, try to understand that the formula which you derived for the TR is equal to Ft upon F0 is equal to, the formula was same as this x upon y. Okay. So the formula or the expression, that is a ratio of TR, that is Ft upon F0, is same as the ratio of this x upon y, right? And that is why this x upon y is called as a displacement transmissibility or motion transmissibility. Okay, I will explain you further. What is this ratio called as? I will erase this first. Okay, so already TR is equal to Ft by Fg, that is nothing but a force transmissibility. We have understand. So this ratio of x upon y is called as a, what it is called as? Displacement transmissibility. It is called as a displacement, or you can also call it as a motion transmissibility, right? Okay, and if you want to calculate the steady state amplitude, let us see, if you want to calculate the steady state amplitude x, how will you calculate? Just take y here, so this x will become y into this formula. Okay, so now okay, so x upon y is nothing but a displacement or motion transmissibility, where what is x? X is nothing but the, what is x? X is nothing but the steady state amplitude, or you can also write it as a steady state amplitude or amplitude of mass. Okay, and right in the bracket it is nothing but absolute. Okay, absolute amplitude of the mass. And what is y? Y is nothing but the amplitude of support or base. Support or base. Okay, so in the first diagram, what we have considered, small x as the absolute, you can say, motion or absolute displacement of the mass m, and small y we have considered as a absolute harmonic displacement of the support. Okay, so from that I have got this capital X and capital Y. So what is capital X? Amplitude of the mass, or you can say absolute amplitude of the mass, and y is nothing but the absolute amplitude of the support of the base. And the ratio of this x upon y is called as a displacement or motion transmissibility, which is equal to same as TR is equal to Ft upon F0, where TR is called as a force transmissibility. So I hope you have understood the difference between the motion transmissibility and the force transmissibility. Is it clear? So now next step. Now phase angle. Now obviously what is the phase angle? Phase angle is nothing but the phi minus alpha. Already I have explained in the particular solution. What is the particular solution? Xp is equal to, because we are always interested in the steady state vibration. There are two types of vibration, transient and steady state. Particular integral defines the steady state vibrations, which remains, and transient vibrations becomes zero or dies out. So this becomes Xp is equal to x sine omega t minus phi minus alpha, right? This is currently we have understand in the last slide. So here phi minus alpha is nothing but a phase angle. So let's derive for the formula. So from this vector diagram, we know that tan alpha is equal to tan inverse 2 zeta r. So this is equal to tan inverse 2 zeta r, because tan alpha is equal to opposite side c omega x upon adjacent side kx. Xx will get cancelled. This is like this, c omega by kx. So xx will get cancelled, remaining will be c omega, and c omega by k is nothing but a 2 zeta. Try to fit in your mind, this I have already derived, that c omega upon k is equal to 2 zeta r. Okay, now what is phi? Phi we have already derived. Phi is nothing but a, see, you try to understand the difference. Phi is nothing but the angle between The phi is nothing but the angle by which displacement vector lacks the force vector f0. I am repeating again. The angle by which displacement vector lacks the force vector, impressed force vector, is nothing but a phi. Okay. And what is alpha? Alpha is nothing but the angle by which displacement vector lacks the force transmitted vector. Okay. And phi minus alpha is nothing but the angle by which this force transmitted vector lacks this force vector. And already, guys, just now I have derived that the ratio x upon y is equal to ft upon f0, right now? And that formula is same, square root of 1 upon 2 zeta r bracket square divided by square root of 1 minus r square bracket square plus 2 zeta. Formula is same, so obviously the phase angle will be also the same, na? So phase angle for the force transmissibility will be same as the phase angle for the motion transmissibility. And motion transmissibility is nothing but the force vibration due to the excitation of base or support. I hope it is clear to all of you. Okay. So finally, what I am getting phi? I am getting phi minus alpha is phi minus alpha 2 zeta upon tan inverse of so and so. Okay. I hope it is clear to all of you. Okay. So now as I have told you earlier that in the last lecture that once I explain you the force vibration due to the excitation support, I will explain this concept as a motion transmissibility. So motion transmissibility is same, that is x upon y. What is motion transmissibility now? That it is motion transmissibility in case of the force vibration due to the excitation of support is defined as the ratio of absolute amplitude of the mass, that is x, to the amplitude of base excitation, means what? This x and this y. Okay, so this is nothing but the x upon y. Okay, so that formula will remain same. So TR is equal to, what is motion transmissibility? TR is equal to x upon y, where x is equal to absolute amplitude of the mass and y is equal to amplitude of the base excitation. So TR is equal to x upon y is equal to so and so. So this TR, that is the motion transmissibility, is also equal to the force transmissibility, that is ft upon f0. So in both the cases, okay. So I hope you understand that the force vibration, whenever you are giving excitation to the base, that is the harmonic excitation to the base, you are generating two things. One is absolute amplitude and second is the relative amplitude. So for absolute amplitude, I am getting a ratio of x upon y, which is nothing but the motion transmissibility, or you can also call it as the displacement transmissibility. But the formula for the transmissibility of motion and the force is remain same. Only the concept is different. I hope it is clear to all of you. Okay. So now, so obviously if the x upon y, that ratio is same, so obviously phi minus alpha, that is the phase angle will be also same. Okay. So what is the phase angle for the force vibration due to the excitation support? Phi minus alpha. Okay. I hope it is clear to all of you. Okay. Now relative amplitude. Now I will finish off what is relative amplitude. Okay. Now, what do you understand by the relative? Now, as I said that the relative amplitude is nothing but the amplitude, for example, the motion between the wheels and the chassis. So you know that the wheels are moving absolutely with respect to the earth coordinates, that is the road surface, and then this motion is transmitted from the wheels to the chassis. So chassis is also moving with respect to wheels, and wheels are moving with respect to what? Road surface. So means what? There is a relative motion between the wheels and the chassis because both are moving. So in such case, how do you analyze? That is very, very important. Okay. So now let me say that, let me call that Z. I will introduce one more term called as Z. Z is the relative displacement of chassis. Means what? Mass. Relative displacement of mass m. What is Z? Z is the relative displacement of mass m with respect to what? Support. Okay. Now guys, just try to understand that in absolute amplitude, I have considered x as a absolute displacement of the mass m with respect to what? Earth coordinates. That is a road surface. And I have considered y as an absolute amplitude with respect to what? Earth coordinate, that is a road surface. Now I am considering that this mass m is having a relative displacement with respect to the support. Obviously, the mass m is what? This mass m is nothing but the chassis. For example, they can consider that this mass m is nothing but the chassis of a vehicle, and this support is nothing but the wheels of a vehicle, right? So these wheels are moving with respect to earth coordinates, that is absolute amplitude. Mass is moving with respect to earth coordinate, that is absolute amplitude. But try to understand that this mass m is also moving with respect to wheels, means what? This wheels is having motion and mass is also having a motion. So this mass will have relative amplitude. So let me call that the relative amplitude between these two is nothing but the xz, right? So what is this z? This z will be equal to what? What will be z? This z will be equal to x minus y. Very simple. Let us say that x is the displacement of mass m, y is the displacement of the support or the wheels. So the relative displacement will be x minus y, and that is equal to z. I hope you have understood this. Okay. So now let me consider that z is equal to x minus y. So what is z dot? Relative velocity. What is relative velocity? X dot minus y dot. What is relative acceleration? Z double dot is equal to x double dot minus y double dot. Okay. Or I can write from this, I can write like this, that x double dot is equal to, what is x double dot? I can write it as a z double dot. This is just a small modification I am making. Okay. Have you understand this? Z double dot is equal to x double dot minus y double dot. So x double dot is equal to z double dot plus y double dot. Okay. Now, what is equation of motion? A basic equation of motion: cx mx double dot plus cx dot plus kx is equal to 0. This is a basic equation of motion. Okay. This is a basic equation of motion. So now put all these terms here. So m into what is x double dot? Just a second. So m double dot is nothing but z double dot, x double dot is nothing but z double dot plus y double dot plus. So everything I have to put in terms of z. Okay. So what is x dot? X dot is nothing but what? X dot is nothing but what? Hello. So what will put here? X dot. So x dot is nothing but z dot, right? So x dot is nothing but a z dot, okay? And plus, what is x? X is nothing but a z. So what I have done, this is my basic equation of motion. So basic equation of motion is I have taken in terms of x, na? That is absolute amplitude. But here I have to convert it into the relative amplitude. What is relative amplitude? Z, okay? So z means what? It is nothing but the x dot, that is equal to z dot. X is nothing but the z, and x double dot I have considered z dot double dot plus y double dot. Okay. So from this equation, what I will get? Now let me solve this equation. So from this I am getting m into z double dot plus c into z dot plus k into z is equal to, and m into y double dot, let me take it as a minus y double dot. Okay. Now what is y double dot? We have already know that. We know, I will write it. We know that y is nothing but a harmonic excitation of the base, which is equal to y sine omega t. Okay. So what is y double dot? Y double dot, take double derivative, minus y omega square sine omega t. So put this here in this equation. Let me call this equation as a b. So when you're putting this minus minus sign will become plus. So finally, guys, what you are getting? You are getting m z double dot plus c into z dot plus k into z. I am getting an equation of motion for the relative amplitude, and after putting here minus m will become plus, so plus m into y omega square sine omega t. So that will become m into omega square capital Y sine omega t. Okay. Now this equation, let me call this equation P. So this equation is known as a relative equation of motion. So initially the equation which I have derived is called as the absolute linear differential equation. This equation is called as a relative differential equation of motion. Okay. In absolute amplitude case, I have derived the absolute differential equation of motion. Now basically you compare this. Compare this mx with mx double dot plus Cx dot plus Kx is equal to f0 sine omega d. This is the basic equation D. So comparing, again same guys, comparing what I will get f0 is equal to I am getting n omega square into y. N omega square into 1. Now guys, try to understand that in absolute amplitude there was there was a term k into k square root of k y into square root of k square plus c square omega square into sine omega t plus alpha was there. But in relative amplitude there is no alpha, there is only omega t. So here the phase angle will be only phi. It will be not phi minus alpha for the relative amplitude. Try to understand this. Okay. So now, first of all, let us derive the equation for the x and phi for relative amplitude, that is z. Okay. So let me derive same process. See, you have to do the same process. Okay. So first, steady state amplitude x is given by what? X is given by f0 by k divided by square root of 1 minus r square bracket square plus 2 zeta r square. Okay. Now, therefore, x is equal to, what is f0? Now, in this case, instead of x, guys, try to understand, instead of x, I have to write z. Why you have to write z? Because I am considering x is nothing but the absolute amplitude, but I want a relative amplitude. So instead of x, I am replacing it z. Okay, you can directly replace. So z is nothing but a relative amplitude. What is f0? F0 is nothing but the m omega square capital Y divided by k and divided by this square root term as it is. Now let me take a ratio. Okay, so in absolute amplitude you got a ratio of x upon y. You got a ratio of x upon y, but here I am getting a ratio of z upon y. Okay, so what is this z upon y? Now what is omega square upon m upon k? What is m upon k? M upon k, you know that k upon m is omega n square. So m upon k is nothing but the 1 upon omega n square. Okay, 1 upon omega n square. So omega square divided by omega n square is nothing but r square, and bracket complete 1 minus r square bracket square plus 2 theta r into bracket square. Okay, so this is called as a ratio of relative amplitude of a mass m with respect to the support to the absolute amplitude, that is the y, of a base. I hope you understand this. Okay, and finally phase angle. Now in this case, if you look into this equation, in this equation there is only omega t. Since there is only omega t, so what is a complete solution? What is a complete solution now? So complete solution will be, I will write here complete solution. So complete solution will be ZC is equal to, complete solution Z is equal to ZC plus ZP. So I am just replacing x by z. And what is ZC? ZC indicates a underdamped condition, that is a complementary function, and ZP indicates a particular integral, that is a steady state vibration. Okay. So what is ZC? What will be ZC? Very simple. Z1 instead of x1 Z1 raised to remain e raised to minus zeta into omega in t. Okay, sine omega dt plus phi 1. Okay, this will be ZC. And what will be the ZP? ZP will be the Z into sine. Now try to understand that. Sine, it will be omega t minus phi. In last case, it was omega t plus alpha minus phi, because that alpha has came in that equation, has arrived in that equation. Here alpha is not arrived, so there is no any you can say condition of alpha here. So here my ZP is only Z sine omega t minus phi. So Z is equal to ZC plus ZP. And what is Z? What is Z? We have already derived. Z is equal to y into r square upon this. Okay. And what is phi? What is phi? Phi is already we have derived. Same. That is tan inverse of 2 zeta r divided by square root of 2 zeta r upon 1 minus r square. This is alpha. So what is phi? The angle by which relative displacement z lacks the support displacement y. What is phi? Phi is nothing but the phase angle, the angle by which the relative displacement z lacks the support displacement y. is called as this phase angle. And what is this Z? This Z is nothing but a steady state relative amplitude. What is Z? Steady state relative amplitude. I hope you understand this. Okay. So this is how we have to do the analysis of a force vibration into the support excitation. Is it clear? Okay. Okay. So just I will give you a small finally what we have studied till here. So now just try to remember that the first we have derived the equation, equation for the steady state amplitude. First of all, we have derived the x is equal to xc plus xp, right? For what? Force vibration. We have derived it for a force vibration. Then where x is nothing but a steady state amplitude. What was that? F0 by k divided by square root of 1 minus r square bracket square plus 2 zeta r bracket square. This is what we have derived. Okay. And what was the phase angle? The phase angle, what was the phase angle which we derived for it? The phase angle was phi is equal to tan inverse 2 zeta r 1 minus r square bracket square. Okay. And then secondly, we went for the derivation of what? Finding the equation of what? Rotating unbalance and reciprocating unbalance. That is a force vibration. So this equation is nothing but a basic equation of force vibration. Secondly, force vibration due to rotating unbalance, right? For rotating unbalance, what we derived? What was the equation we derived for the rotating unbalance? For rotating unbalance we derived, it was x upon MOE by M is equal to, it was r square upon c, it is r square upon square root of 1 minus r square bracket square plus 2 zeta r square, okay? And the phase angle was same. And the phase angle was phi, that is tan inverse of 2 zeta r upon 1 minus r square, okay? And for force vibration due to the reciprocating, instead of E, you will have R, that is a crank angle, which is double of the stroke. S is equal to 2 into R, okay? This is what we have derived. Then what we derived? Now we derive the force vibration due to the support excitation, that is the base excitation, okay? So for that also we derive the formula, okay? Then thirdly, we have derived the formula for the TR is equal to Ft upon F0. TR is equal to Ft upon F0. What is that? Is for a force transmissibility. What is that formula? Square root of 1 plus 2 zeta r bracket square, and denominator will always remain same, 1 minus r square bracket square plus 2 zeta r square, okay? And what was the angle of lag or phase angle? Phase angle for this was nothing but the phi minus alpha, okay? And what is phi minus alpha? Phi minus alpha is nothing but a tan inverse of 2 zeta r upon 1 minus r square bracket square minus tan inverse of 2 zeta r, okay? So this we have derived for the force transmissibility, and now we have derived the equation for the force vibration due to the base excitation, means what? Motion transmissibility. So that is equal to TR is equal to x upon y, and again formula will be same and same as this, and phase angle will be also same, phi minus alpha, right? And lastly, we have derived the formula for what? Formula for the relative amplitude, okay? And formula for the relative amplitude which we have derived, what was that? Okay, so that I will write here down. The formula for the relative amplitude. So what was the formula for the relative amplitude? The formula for the relative amplitude which we derived was Z is equal to steady state relative amplitude is again same, that is Z upon Y is equal to again same. It is same as the rotating unbalance, r square upon 1 minus r square bracket square plus 2 zeta r square, okay? And what is the phase angle for the relative angle? It is phi. So phi is equal to tan inverse of 2 zeta r upon 1 minus r square. So guys, try to understand that for this Z is nothing but a steady state relative amplitude. Z is what? Steady state relative amplitude. What is Y? Y is nothing but the steady state absolute amplitude of a support excitation or a base excitation, okay? Then Ft upon F0 we have derived. Then we have derived the formula for the x as well as the x upon AU upon M, okay? So I hope you have understand. Please message me you have understand or not. So today we will stop here, and in the next lecture we will solve the problems on the force vibration due to the support excitation and the problems on force transmissibility, motion transmissibility, as well as problems on vibration isolation, okay? So So I hope, thank you so much. I hope you have understand this. So message me accordingly.